Welcome back to the channel. Today's video, I'm painting a face using acrylics on canvas. I attached the reference photo to the canvas painting so you can see what I'm working from. So let's get started. I drew the face on the canvas. I started using washed colors, like I added a lot of water to these acrylics to keep them thin because I'm just filling in the base layer, and I'm going to build on these colors gradually. That's the beauty of acrylics. You can start with one color and you can gradually somewhat blend them using contrast colors and different shades to layer. The final result will be a textured finish and it won't look flat. If you notice, I'm painting in specific shapes, something like what they call the planes of the face, so you don't want everything the same color. And I'm going, if I'm looking at my reference, I'll see what's the shadows and which parts are the lightest, so then I'll use colors that reflect the lightness and colors that reflect the darkness, but I do paint over them. It's like a back and forth process. I'll use a darker color, then I'll go over it with a lighter color, once again keeping the reference in mind. The colors that I chose are based on colors that I see in her face, some more subtle than others. This blue that I'm adding here, I'm not going to leave it that way. This is just, once again, an underpainting. So when I go over it, it won't look so even. And I put in the details like the hair, like the dark hair, to kind of help me see, if that makes sense, help me see how everything is relating to each other. And the purple, and I'm adding back the darker shadow. As I mentioned before, I go back and forth. I'll go darker, then I'll go lighter, then I'll go darker, and then I'll go lighter, because I'm looking at her face. And if I see something that seems too light, I'll add some darkness, but then sometimes it'll be too dark. So like in this case, at this point, I'm just going over the whole face with one color and then trying to add back the different shapes. It's sort of a controlled chaos, and bear in mind this is sped up, so everything just looks simpler than it is, because when I'm painting this face and this entire image, I'm studying the image, the reference, and just building up to what's needed. My aim is to capture her likeness as much as possible, with including the right colors, get her coloration as much as possible. If I see something is looking like it needs to stand out more, I'll go over it again. And the thing with acrylics is you're supposed to let it dry in between. I'm not always that great with that. painted all the light spaces, the highlights, but it's a balance. You don't want to overdo anything. So if I find like it's too much, then I'll just layer it again. But in the end, it helps that it'll all come together because it'll give her a nice texture to her skin, and the coloration, it'll be more interesting. Sorry for my hand. I know that's not the best image. Now, if I'm looking at this, I feel like she might be getting a little too washed out with the white. I have to be careful with that. I still want to maintain some type of richness to her color, but I also want to show where the light is hitting her face. Now I'm adding back some color to warm up her face. It was definitely looking ghostly. So, like I said before, it's a back and forth. The light on her cheek and her chin. Going back to my reference, making sure I drawing from it. I'm going even lighter. I'm back to putting in the highlights liberally. There's a light on her jawline that I want to emphasize, in her neck. Once again, I want to be more liberal. I don't want to spread this white too far. Highlights, highlights. And I am going over the dark areas of her eyes. I painted in some of the shadows under her eyes, or the creases, and I just wanted to go over it because it was too strong. Really, that's what painting is. You're just building, gradually building. This took a matter of days. It didn't take a matter of minutes. So you're always going back to it. And I've heard it said, you can work on a piece forever. You decide when it's done. It's up to you to decide when it's done. And this pink just touches. And I want to show the shape of the brush. This isn't oil, so it's not just going to be flat, or it's not going to blend the same. But like I said, you do want to let it dry between layers. It makes a difference on how the colors show up. And I'm just doing little touch-ups here and there at this point, finishing up the painting. I've decided it's time. I'm not gonna work this to death, so I'm just gonna just do some touches here and there. The brush is kind of dry, it's not even saturated. I'm just tapping. Bringing back the highlights once again. Every time you say you're gonna stop, you see something else. It is hard to stop. People who paint, they know this feeling. Other artists, they know this feeling. You just keep going. You start seeing something else. I'm adding more yellow, like a light yellow to the color. I don't want it to start looking ghostly again. I hope you enjoyed the process. I'm going to end it here. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.